Appreciate everybody being here. Obviously, a lot of excitement about spring practice starting here tomorrow. It's been a wonderful off season. Got to give a great shout of appreciation to our strength staff, nutrition staff, athletic trainers. The work that's gone into the first 9 weeks of the semester has been incredible. It's been great seeing the growth and the buy-in from our players. What we're asking them to do is pretty remarkable. It's an all-inclusive approach to trying to grow and get better, and we're challenging these guys in every aspect of their life, and they are really they've made some great strides here early. I think I was telling them this morning. I think it's 695 pounds of positive growth in body weight. Just body weight among 91 players on our team. So that's an average of a 7 pound gain. Or some guys that we asked to lose weight did a remarkable job with that. They've really started to change their bodies, and the strength numbers of what we've been able to accomplish and the work we've been able to get done in our tour of duty has been it's been a lot of fun to be a part of and to watch. So now we get to start up on the fields tomorrow, and we're definitely looking forward to that process of growth mentally and continued physical development for where we want to go.
Questions?
All right.
Brendan?
Hey, Coach, you mentioned the positive weight gain. What goes in, obviously hard work, but what goes into that, and Coach Storms and what he does with his strength and conditioning program to get those kind of results that quickly?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of work when it comes to the plan of what it takes. Obviously the strength and conditioning aspect of it is something that's big. I think Coach Storms does a remarkable job. I believe he's the best in the country at what he does. But also coupled with that, with our nutritional plans, and Marissa's done a remarkable job since we've got started. You'll hear in January, and then you have to have buy-in from the players. We're trying to maximize all the resources that we have when it comes to how we're able to take care of these guys, and just making sure that they're being held accountable to eating when they're supposed to eat. They're buying in with their own sacrifices. We have guys that are waking up at 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning and taking a protein shake. Or we have guys that are trying to hit certain calories. We have guys that are trying to lose weight, and they're doing extra work on their own to be able to manage that, to put themselves in the best position to be successful. And if you want to achieve greatness, you've got to be willing to sacrifice for what it takes to get to that level. And I think these guys are starting on that process.
Coach, have any specific players that have really stood out in that regard?
We have actually a ton of them. I mean, you look at Emmett Rice is a guy that comes to mind. He's going to be a fifth-year senior, and he gained 18 pounds in the last 9 weeks. It's pretty remarkable. Tamarian Terry, I think, is up 16 pounds. There's guys that are all over. Keyshawn Helton, going through rehab, has gained, I think, over 20 pounds. During that process, we've had some guys. Bavion Johnson has lost 15 pounds, which is something I was really pleased with. Just looking at that, and I mean, I think like I said, going through this morning, I mean, there were, I want to say, almost 30 guys on our team that were plus or minus 10 pounds in the right direction of where we wanted them to go. And like I told them, I mean, weight's a number, but commitment, buy-in, preparation, the sacrifice of what it takes to get there. I mean, that's something else. We had some guys. Marvin Wilson, for example, he is only 1 pound different from where he was last year, but his body, the composition of his body, has completely changed, and that's something that you see, that it's the weight change is something that one can tell you, positive growth or in that aspect, but sometimes it's just a body composition and the strength numbers of what they've seen, and that's where these guys are gaining a lot of confidence in the work that they're putting in.
You talked about the buy-in. I'm sure a lot of guys started with that. Do you really even see the buy-in go to another level when guys really started seeing those results for themselves?
I mean, I think that's part of any process of change. You can make a commitment to do something different than the ways you've done them before, and when you see the positive reinforcement, when you see that growth, those steps that are taking place, I think it builds confidence. And, that's why we started our very first week of the spring with our tour duty workouts. And to go from, we ended up getting 12 of those workouts in, and where we were day one to where we were, there yesterday with our last tour duty workout, it's remarkable. I mean, guys understanding what our standard's going to be, and guys being held accountable in every aspect. But when they see that growth, you see the confidence starting to build within them.
Go to Ira, last row on the right.
Coach, there used to be a kind of a thought process in college football that a strength coach's job was to just get the guys in the weight room and get them to work hard. I mean, that was kind of that was their role. How sophisticated is that process now compared to maybe 15 or 20 years ago?
I mean, I think it's critical. It's critical to our development as a team. Obviously, with the new staff, new expectations, new standards. I mean, that message has to be consistent, and that's one of the things that I try to really pour into. This is an all-inclusive approach. Every week we meet as a complete staff, academics, strength and conditioning, compliance. Everybody that puts hands on our players at some point of the week is going to be in that meeting, so we're all on the same page, because we have to have that constant communication. We all have to be pushing the same vision, the same approach, because these kids, being a collegiate student athlete is, it's a heck of an investment. It's an investment on the players, an investment within the program, and that's one of the things that exciting. Come tomorrow, we're able to get to where we're going to be around them 20 hours a week instead of just 8 hours, and so those 8 hours are critical. And I think that Coach Storms and his staff, like I said, Marissa and the nutritional staff, were phenomenal. Academically, the growth we're seeing from our guys is pretty special in its own right. And so everybody's a part of the process in building these student athletes, and it's been great seeing some of that growth. And what Josh and his staff has done is really helping to reiterate the importance of all those little details.
Coach, you have multiple players on the roster who've now been through multiple head coaches, coordinators, and scheme changes. I know you haven't started practice yet, but how have the players sort of adjusted to that, another systemic change?
It's been good. It's all part of their process, and a lot of these guys had no control over any of those decisions, and but they have full control over their mindset and their approach into meetings, and how they're going to receive the information, how they're going to buy into the things we're asking them to do. And when you look at that, everything within the program is focused on the development of the student athlete, and I explain why we do everything. I'm not one of those coaches that say you need to do this because I say so. I try to paint the picture of how this is going to benefit them in the long run with all that we do, and it's challenging. And our kids will tell you, when I got the job here, I didn't promise them much, but I guaranteed them it was going to be the hardest thing they've ever done in their life. And I think if you're going to get an opportunity to talk to a lot of them, and they're probably going to echo that pretty consistently. But you see gains, you see growth, and all I want our guys to do is embrace the moment, maximize today, be the best they can possibly be, and we'll take care of everything else as it gets to us here in the future.
Hey, Mike. One of the guys who's been through all those changes is James Blackmon. What have you learned about him so far, and what do you want to learn about him and see from him when spring starts?
Just continued growth. I think James is a very impressive young man. He's one of those guys that has seen great growth physically over the last 2 months. I think he's up 10 pounds from where he was. He's at an all-time high. But you also see him getting stronger. The confidence. There's no secret about it. I tell every quarterback, they're going to be coached. They're going to be coached the hardest on this football team. They're going to be held to the highest standard, because when you play that position, all eyes are on you. And it's sometimes when things are going great, you get probably too much positive. When things are not going very well, sometimes you get too much negative. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to handle that and to be able to respond. And I've really been pleased with what I've seen from James. The things that he's doing, outside of what we're asking him to do, and the things he's trying to do to continue to grow has been really pleasing. And he knows that there's going to be great competition moving forward, and he's excited about the opportunity.
Go to Gene in the back row.
Coach, I believe you got 3 scholarship quarterbacks right now, some walk-ons as well. How do you plan to divvy up those reps in practice? Specifically, how many first-team reps will each guy get? And then kind of how will you use that to evaluate eventually who you're going to pick as the starter?
Well, it's going to be balanced. It's going to be balanced here early. Obviously, James and Jordan both have the game experience. Tate's coming in here as a going to be a true freshman up this next year, and then we have a couple of guys that are here on the roster that have also done some good things in our mat drills and all of that with our tour of duty. But we're going to make sure that we balance out a lot of those reps. I want every guy to get an opportunity to showcase themselves with the first group. I want to see sometimes guys that have been used to being starters play with the second group and to get a feel for what that looks like. But then they're going to be evaluated daily. We grade everything that they do, and then we're going to continue to give opportunities depending on how opportunities are taken advantage of and opportunities that are earned. So I'll tell you, every position that's going to be the thought process and the approach, and guys are going to have to earn what they get.
Just how important is it for guys to see positive results, whether physically, mentally, whatever, to what you're trying to get them to do in terms of increased buy-in moving in toward the start of practice?
I mean, I think it's critical. When you ask anyone to do anything, they want to be able to build in the confidence of the process, and that's our focus is every day, trying to maximize our potential, and we lay out a structure of what we believe is the best way to be able to get those results. And some guys have bought totally into that. Some guys are going through the process of what it takes to get themselves to that point. But when you see the growth, when you see the development, mentally, physically, socially, whatever that might be, it really helps cement the foundation of what we're asking them to do. And anytime you can answer the why and they get to see it play out, then it becomes their expectation of themselves.
Usually this is kind of the time of year where guys start thinking about maybe making some position changes. Has there been any that you guys have made off the top of the head, or will you want to see some practices before you maybe move guys around?
I mean, Wyatt Rector, is one that we moved him from quarterback to our three-back position, a position that is built on versatility. And obviously he's a young man that I really like his skill set of what he can do. I was able to watch some of those bowl practices, there in December, and like the way he moved, and something that I presented to him with a great opportunity. And so that's one position change that's been made. And then we're going to be, I've got to get a chance to see these kids in what position we're asking them to play. And my number one thing is I want to see them go out there and play fast. Some guys are going to be, limited in things that they can do, just physically. Some guys coming off of injuries. Other guys, we're going to try to, teach them a couple different spots. And but I don't want to confuse them early. I want them to go out there and play fast and to be able to showcase all that they can do, because the scheme of what we're going to ask them to do is going to be built off of what our players do best, and that's the versatility of our coaching style and what the schematics is what I think kind of sets us apart in a lot of ways. So we need to get a better sense of what we have here on campus.
All right, we have time for a couple more. Anybody else, anything? Ira?
Can you explain the three-back position?
It's a tight end hybrid. You'll see them kind of playing a little bit. It's basically a combination of a H-back and a tight end. You'll see them with their hand in the grass, moving all over the field. Sometimes out at receiver, sometimes in the backfield. Which just it's a true hybrid position that can do a lot of different things for us.
Coach, two of the players you had mentioned about doing very positive in terms of the weight gains or losses were Marvin Wilson and Terry. And those are two guys that opted to pass up the NFL to come back to play one more year. For you, what does that say that they put in that kind of commitment in the offseason? And are you looking at guys like that to become leaders? Have you spoken to them specifically about it?
Yeah, I mean, really, I've talked to, those two guys specifically coming back. It is it shows a lot of their belief in the program. It shows a lot in the belief in the coaching staff that's coming in, and obviously what they believe that they can grow, how they can grow and develop throughout this next year. They want to win. And they love this program. They are great Seminoles, and they're excited about what the future holds. But like I told them when they were making the decisions, I mean, they didn't come back to improve a status. They came back to truly cement themselves as what they're going to leave how they're going to leave their legacy. And they have worked in an incredibly high fashion, in every aspect, in the weight room, through our tour of duty. I have to say that I've talked about leading. Not really. I've talked to our team about how you lead. People picture a leader as somebody that can give a great speech. I want a guy that can give great actions consistently, day after day. Showing the importance and the buy-in of what we're asking them to do. And I think those guys have really shown up, even through times of adversity, because anybody can lead when it's 70 degrees and sunny outside, but whenever you have some challenges that show up, and your response is what's going to show the reality of who you are, and that's those guys have both been put in challenging situations intentionally to see how they would respond. I'm really pleased with where they are on their process.
All right, last one, Brendan.
Coach, do you have any updates on injuries or guys who won't be available starting with spring?
Yeah, as we go through, there's going to be some guys that are going to be kind of day-to-day, some guys that are rehabilitating that might be non-contact throughout the spring, but really the only one that's going to miss spring that's kind of new is Akeem Dent. He'll be out for the spring. He had an injury here in the off-season workouts, and so he'll be out for that for spring ball, and obviously recovering in that regards. But then really mostly everybody else will be day to day. We could have a couple guys that show up that we might hold in some situations, but just trying to allow everybody their opportunity to get back to full speed. And we did have some coming in. There were some off-season surgeries that we had and some things that showed up that just going to take a little time to further process.